Now I could sit here and just make a really long intro about what we're about to discuss. But you know what? I only have one word for you. Porn. How much of the internet is porn? I'm sure there's a moment in our lives we have all wondered, considering the internet is of daily use to us now. A rather flawed early study estimated that 37% of all content online was pornography. On a second analysis, it was estimated that actually only 4% of the web was porn, and only 13 to 14% of web searches are porn related. Well, that's certainly a large amount. It's nowhere near the highest amount of any given type of media. A report showed 15% of all web content was cat related as of 2013. So now with the craze of memes and other media, I'm sure that number has grown. But to answer the main question, the internet really isn't as pornographic filled as you might think. In fact, according to some experts, only 42,337 of the 1 million most trafficked websites online are offering sex-related content, which translates into somewhere around 4% of the sites on the internet. So next time someone tells you most of the internet is porn, just let them know maybe he should do a little research and stop watching it for a second. So this might be the fact on the list you'd want to pay very close attention to depending on where you live. In 2004, after President Bush won the election, conservative states, red states, saw an increase in porn-related internet searches, while in 2008, after Obama won, liberal states, blue states, saw an increase of porn-related searches. Now that this guy is president, my question to you is, where do you live? Because there's already so much porn out there, producers of the stuff are increasingly turning into novelty equipment to try to stay ahead of the curve. For example, in 2014, the GoPro camera, usually used for filming sporting events from a supposed first-person perspective, was being used for porn, though the company refused to comment on this. There were issues with the equipment, like if the shooting angles are wrong, the fisheye lens on the GoPro camera will often exaggerate anatomy until it looks ridiculous. On the opposite end of the spectrum, drones were used by Brooklyn director Brandon Lagong, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, sir, to make some porn in 2014. As he filmed people having sex outdoors, presumably with their permission, of course. Lagong claimed he was making the porn not for arousal, but to make a point about the military use of drones and the way that technology like that is being used to invade privacy. Talk about ambitious porn and trying to make a point. PS3 versus the 360 was one of the biggest wars in history, and it would go down as the war that was decided by porn. Or will it? Actually, porn did not decide any entertainment formats. A common misconception was that in the late 1970s, the reason that the dominant form of home video became VHS over Betamax was that companies like Sony refused to let porn be released on its format. Fast forward into the future, it also got people to assume that HD DVD would become the dominant format over Blu-ray because porn companies were supposed to go with the HD DVD format. But not only was that wrong in the most recent case, it was wrong back in the 1970s as well. For starters, Sony did allow their format to be used for pornography, most prominently Playboy Entertainment. The thing that really decided the issue was the relative cost of the formats, not some embargo against pornography on Sony's part. Sorry if you can't start a conversation on the PlayStation experience now, thinking this is a fact. At least you got VR. Among the aforementioned growing number of heterosexual women that will admit they consume pornography, there's a curious trend. You probably expect them to want to see heterosexual sex more often, or maybe watch homosexual males act and imagine themselves being in the room with them. Instead, the most popular thing among straight women is lesbian porn, according to the site Pornhub, with gay male erotica coming in second. Heterosexual porn that is meant to appeal to women isn't even in the top 3. The reason seemingly boils down to heterosexual porn being designed for the heterosexual male fantasy, since men comprise 2/3 of viewers. There tends not to be much foreplay, and body standards for male stars are much lower. Others have tried to go the other way with this one and claim it's evidence that far more women are bisexual than you might expect. In fact, the University of Essex research shows that 82% of the 235 women in a study were aroused by lesbian porn as well. Although that data is fairly dubious, since the criteria for whether women were aroused was whether or not their pupils were dilated. This one holds a special place in my heart, seeing as I did watch this movie the day it came out. Obviously, porn is associated with a lack of production value and acting skill. When you have a form of entertainment where someone talking to a webcam can be highly lucrative, spending time on lighting, sets, and getting professional performers can only seem like a waste. We're not exactly watching porn for the story after all. Still, in 2005, that didn't stop the production company Digital Playground from deciding to set a pretty impractical record by spending $1 million in a parody of Pirates of the Caribbean that for the mainstream release was just called Pirates. Apparently, spending more than 6 times what even a very high-end porn would have cost at the time managed to pay off anyways, and by 2008, the same company decided to make a sequel with the subtitles Stagnetti's Revenge, which cost $8 million. To help put into context how expensive that was, it topped the budget of the 1996 film classic Fargo by $1 million. Unless someone really splurges on one of their webcam shows, that seemed like a record that would last forever. There's still some people out there that really don't like porn, and I'm sure they would take joy in the fact that since 2012, porn revenue is down an estimated 75% worldwide, at least. There's too much piracy for it to remain viable. However, it should be noted that before file sharing and free sites devastated the industry, its revenue stream and size relative to mainstream media got massively exaggerated, and not just ludicrous claims like how Deep Throat, a film company, was supposed to have made $600 million, which was actually money laundering for the mob. But that's another story. Forbes magazine reported in 2001, back when home video was eclipsed by the internet, that pornographers were exaggerating their earnings about 8 times over to make the porn industry look more lucrative. And even exaggerated figures were less than 1/10 of what mainstream home video was grossing. It's not just porn movies in serious decline either. Playboy is in such a serious trouble that they overhauled their magazine, removing nudity and basically becoming another version of Maxim in an effort to halt their downward spiral. Apparently, the public just likes to think that we all bought more porn than we actually did. Honestly, as a male in my mid-20s, I can say that since the internet existed, I had no idea that you could use porn and buy in the same sentence. Well, that's going to do it for this list. I hope you were entertained and you're able to take some facts from this, maybe share with your friends and start a discussion. I wouldn't blame you if you don't want to share with your family, of course. But if you like the content, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, to share, and subscribe. That would help me out a lot. Have a great day, guys. Here from Glorious Tops.